Good evening, my trues, clues, crimes aficionados. I hope you all are doing well out there. This is my birthday month this month. I'm going to be running my contest. I'm going to be putting some clues out in this video. I will have some out on Wednesday and some out on Friday to give you a good picture of the person that I am thinking of. And then I will have like a carry-all bag, like the little grocery bags that they have, but it's made out of cloth, a little makeup bag or a little 420 bag. I have a keychain and I have a cup or a mug. So I hope that you will participate and try to follow the clues to the crime and tell me who you think the perpetrator or the victim may be. With that being said, let's get into tonight's story. This one is an oldie, but yet it is still quite active in the crime scene world today. It had record-cutting FBI investigation techniques that took place. And it originally happened back on October 1 of 1993. And it was a young lady, a beautiful young lady, and she lived in Petaluma, California. She was about 12 and a half years old, what we call a preteen, probably, just coming into womanhood, just, starting to experience changes in her body and her mind about the way that she feels about things. So she had planned a sleepover. And her mom and dad were no longer a couple together, but they very actively co-parented together. And the mom had remarried and had a younger daughter. So she had a half sister as well. I think her name was Amy. In addition to this, she had her dad. His name was Mark. So they were all very close. Mark just adored Polly to no end. They talked to each other every day. He couldn't tell her enough how much he loved her. In his own words, he said he was a great parent. He loved being a parent to her. So on this night of October 1, she is having a sleepover party and two of her girlfriends are there. And it's a pretty small town. It's a very homely kind of place. Rom-com movies have been shot there. And Winona Ryder grew up there, which comes into play later. So this young lady decides for whatever reason that she needs to open the door. And when she opens the door, there's this big hulking individual standing there holding what the two other young girls said was a big knife. And he comes in and he just takes advantage of the whole room. I'm sure his whole body probably felt like it took up the whole room to these poor scared young women or little girls at the time. And he's like, oh, yeah, and who lives here? Like he didn't already know, because the plans that he had in mind definitely come out to being a predator, an SA predator even. And in order to put himself in the predicament he had right now, he must have been eyes on the scene, and he must have been having eyes on the scene for poor little Polly for quite some time. So he knew damn well what he was looking for and who he was looking for when he went in there. And at the time, Polly's mom had had a migraine. She took some sleeping pills and she went to bed. And this was right before, I guess, the incident happened. So he gets in there and he ties everybody up. And from what I remember, because this was shocking to me, it was one of the first times I had heard of something like this going on before, that he had confronted her and he was talking to her and he asked, do you want to go or do you want to go or whatever? Not the point that they're saying now, do you live here, and then taking her. What I had heard is that Polly had opted to go to protect her friends, which made her an angel above all. Whichever happened, that is what happened. So he ends up taking her and he drives off. He said he's driving along looking for, a lonely, deserted area where he can just, live out his most deepest horrors in his mind that he wants to bring to fruition. So he does find an area there and he pulls over, and I guess he gets his car stuck in this ditch, and it's this lady's property. And she just had it's only her and her 12-year-old on the property. She was out for whatever reason. When she came back, the babysitter was leaving. As the babysitter is pulling out, she sees this car in the ditch. The guy looks crazy, and he looks evil and mean. This is her words, almost. So she pulls up slowly and she just, rolls her window down a little bit. And he's over there, putting his fingers in, trying to pull the window down, telling her that she has to get out and help him. She has to. Well, that immediately set up her hackles, and she's like, oh, hell to the no. Ain't nobody stopping up in here. And she just keeps on going. And then calls the cops and let the lady who owns the house know, hey, there's some stranger on your property. So she gets something, I don't even know what. Her and her daughter start going down there to see what happened. And yeah, he's there. The cops come, they question him. They have no idea at this point in time that Polly is missing. At the time, Polly is bound up and in the car, but still alive. Or we're pretty sure she was anyway. And then he goes off into the woods after he talks to the police, and they watch him, they follow him, and he goes wherever, and he takes her off, and he SAs her while using a condom, and then expires her from her beautiful life forever. And then just leaves her there, like throwing trash. I mean, the remnants of the crime and everything. And then he just takes off like it's nothing. And so when they start investigating what happened to her, where is she? Are we going to get her back? Of course, time starts going by. They start interviewing people. The lady who owns the property, they go not hunting, they go out hiking one day. A friend of hers comes over and they're out there hiking. And they find something. The lady in her gut is just sure that it's a crime scene. There's like bound up bandages there. There's a pair of red tights and there's a used condom. So they immediately back off and they call the cops, who have been working their asses off trying to find out where poor Polly is, and hoping that by the time they do find her that she's alive. Well, when they get the call, those hardened law enforcement people broke down in tears. And Mark says that when he went in there to find out, when they called him and said, they needed to talk to him, he knew immediately by the tone of what was going on in the office and all the people that were just emotionally eroded that his daughter was no longer in existence on this planet. And that was true. Okay, now we got to go back in time. So when they find out, that there's some suspicious activities, they did find out about Richard Allan, whatever his name is. And they wanted to bring him in for questioning, but they really didn't know where Polly was. They didn't know really what went on. So they bring him in and they're questioning him. And at first he's trying to put distance between him and the crime because, nobody likes men who SA and expire children. Those are the first people that get attacked in prisons on usually a regular basis. They usually plan it and then they just take you out. So he's worried, and I guess he's trying not to act like it. And then he comes forward and he finally admits, yeah, he did it, blah, 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 D. Then he goes to court. And during this time, there was so much focus, and it just perpetuates the whole thing. And he was just on TV. He thought he was a movie star. He was having such a good time, trying to act like, yeah, it wasn't me, but blah, 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 just playing it up and manipulating things and manipulating the public. And then he's finally going through trial, and, everything comes out about what happened. And when the judge gives him a chance to speak, now, witnesses get a chance to speak now, but then they let him speak. And he tried to insinuate that Polly's dad had essayed his own child. And the mother, Mark said his mom was right next to him. He thought she was just going to lay down and die. He was so angry that he tried to visibly attack Richard Allan, but was put out of the jail. So he's in San Quentin right now, serving life in prison. And I think that's even too good for him. Polly will never get married. She will never have children. She will never give Mark and his wife, Eve, I think her name was, any kind of children. And the girls that were there, the police took them in to interview them. And when they were interviewing, they also gave them a lie detector test. They wasn't sure if this was some kind of prank and the girls were just fooling around. But apparently they put those girls through living hell. And a couple of the law enforcement people have said, they were way too tough on them. They wish they would have been a little more lenient and try to get, information in a different fashion. And the girls were just tore up about it. They still cry about it now when you talk to them. Winona Ryder, having grown up in that city or little town, she cried and she felt very close to Polly. She felt like, they had a resemblance to each other, the dark hair and everything. She came down and she put up $200,000 reward. Linda Ronstadt sang at her memorial. The whole thing with Richard becoming a star, whole thing just really pisses the person off, even thinking about it now. And like I said, I think San Quentin is too good for him. She was a very vibrant, beautiful young lady, as many of them are, and if you're being followed, you don't know that. You don't know about these kind of people. And hopefully, even in today's world, as much knowledge is out there about, this type of perpetrator or whatever, this is adult material. This is for adults. I don't want this shared with children. I don't put my information out there for children, not that they let you. But, we're adults. We need to learn about this. We need to know how to fight these people back. That's why I do what I do. And this case freaking impacted me so bad because my kids, I was a young mother at the time as well, and my kids lived upstairs, or didn't live upstairs. Their bedrooms were upstairs. I would be downstairs, but I usually, could tell, as moms do, what they were doing or what was going on by hearing footsteps running around or whatever. I don't know. So scary. So freaking scary. I mean, because it's not like things are settling down. Things only ramped up. I love you all. I'll catch you on the next episode. Please, 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 please participate in my contest. Love you all. Bye.